Hello everyone and welcome back, Sundial community. I wanted to do a quick video for you to talk about what my thoughts are next. Now previously we talked about the reverse stock split, what I thought as far as how much it would pull back, that it would pull back as soon as it was announced, and then the day after, that's all happened. So let's talk about next steps. Now why Sundial Growers stock is sinking today. We've already explained that in previous videos. If you haven't watched that share consolidation video that I did, feel free to go and check it out. But Keith, man, you coming in late at 12:01 p.m. Finally got it approved to be able to send it out, telling us that there's a 10-for-1 reverse stock split. This didn't help me at all, but I still like to read them. Let's take a look at liquidity, all right? So what we want to pay attention to is during this blackout period, how much volume will SNDL have set right next to Tilray. Now, Tilray, you're going to have to expect with their earnings coming up on Thursday that it's going to trade with a little bit more volatility. So I would expect today was a highly volatile day for Sundial. I would expect that starts to trail off a little bit, but tomorrow morning could be a good buying opportunity on a pullback of Sundial. We're going to take a look at the charts. Now that is if you are setting money aside to dollar cost average into a position. What I want to do, and we'll talk about this in the technical charts, I want to watch it drop, find support, and then I want to watch it revisit that level or break through. So that's why we dollar cost average, but I'm going to explain that in the technical analysis chart at the end of this video. Now, Tilray, want to watch liquidity. I want to pay attention to how much volume they're trading and whether or not they stay side by side. Sundial stays on the top like it has been in the past, or if it starts to fall below. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the comments below. I also want to watch these macroeconomic indicators as far as breaking news. Russia cuts gas supply to Germany. Energy giant. These type of events can cause global impacts and volatility in the market, especially in a blackout period when we're looking at earnings. So right now, the reason I mention this is because SNDL is in a blackout period. Now, all the major indices were down today, and I expect them to even pull back a little more tomorrow morning because we want to take a look at Market Watch and we want to look at the calendar to understand what's going to happen tomorrow morning. And typically, this is what's happened in the past. In the morning, pending home sales index, and we got the Fed funds target rate. Typically, this pulls back in the morning, 10 a.m., you could see a pullback. And then at 2 p.m. and leading to 2:30, we start to see some recovery in the market. So the buying opportunity potentially, and we got to take a look at the charts, and this is with anything that you're playing out there. You want to watch those 52-week lows and those buying opportunities on guidance, companies that have strong guidance and clear Q3, Q4, strong fundamentals, or we have a catalyst coming up with Alcana and SNDL. Right? That's the massive catalyst that we're looking forward to and why we're looking for opportunities to cost average down. Anybody who's gotten stressed out and hasn't had patience and discipline to this point and sold at this low point right here, this is not financial advice, but unless you absolutely critically need that money, that is a terrible decision. You never sell this low. You want to find opportunities to cost average down. And for those of you that are just holding on to a high cost average, you just hold and you look for that opportunity to trim some of your position if you want to make that money grow for you. So that would be the timing that you're looking forward to. Now, I want to take a look at some of these other earnings that happened. Microsoft shares rise on upbeat 2023 sales growth forecasts. So we want to look at companies. If you're looking to diversify, you're looking to pull some out of SNDL once this runs up during the next quarter. You want to look at companies that have strong guidance. Microsoft is well diversified. Alphabet had better than feared quarter, shows advertisers are staying with Google. Now, this is important because these are two major tech companies that impact the indice, as far as the Dow is concerned. Now, we are consistently seeing people start to trim and pull cost levers in the expectation that this is going to become very, very difficult next year. So changes in Shopify's team, they're cutting 10% of their staff. And then I wanted to walk through a few more of these. Walmart's cutting its outlook and the price cuts. They're having to reduce their inventory. We're hearing about Walmart. That's a big indicator because Walmart is one that you would expect to be doing a little bit better during difficult times because their competitive pricing. Now, General Motors is also preparing for an economic slowdown and hiring fewer people. So we're expecting to see these unemployment numbers start to tick up as the Fed increases. Now, the CPI numbers are supposed to be lower next month. That's why I think this is a great opportunity this month to be very selective and buy those great companies, because CPI and the Fed should be less hawkish leading up to CPI coming down. So we've reached the peak, I believe, with some of these indicators on CPI. So it should pull back from, I believe it was 9.1 this last report. We should see that pull back. And we had a few more of these. We've got spinoffs in the healthcare business. So you're going to see some of these companies spinning off portions of their business. We've got supply chain issues, inflationary pressures. We've got General Electric with a strong recovery in its jet engine business. So we're seeing some of these companies start to reopen, and some business segments are gaining strength, and travel is going to continue as we're reopening. So you want to pay attention to those. I know I talked about Delta a couple of months ago. We've got Raytheon, or RTX, better than expected, dealing with macroeconomic supply chain challenges, but reaffirmed its full year outlook. So we want to pay attention to that guidance. Who is reaffirming their outlook? And I wanted to pay attention to that. And also raising its full year forecast. UL, I put this on the community tab because this was up about 4%. So you want to pay attention to some of these stocks that aren't as sexy. I mean, seller of popular brands such as Dove soap, and I mean, everybody's got to have their mayonnaise, right? So successfully raise prices to offset higher costs. We've got a government probe happening with Coinbase, so you want to be careful. Be very careful with which platform you're trading your crypto on. We've seen several of those crash, and we've got that pullback in Bitcoin right now. UBS, we've got UBS, the investment banking and wealth management business. I mean, who's making good investment decisions? And then we've got Whirlpool, the exit from the Russian market, still working through some of that. How many quarters will it take before they're finished? So hopefully some of that helps you. Now, the volume tab here for Sundial, you can say they've already meshed all these numbers up, but it's still easy to tell what this is. I mean, this is 33 cents, 31, 35, 27. You just ignore the rest of these numbers because they did a 1 to 10, so they made the math really easy for you to understand. I mean, this was a buy at 29 cents in the past, and today it reached 21 cents. This went down to that 20 cents that I projected that it potentially could, and really close. I mean, 21, that's pretty close. A penny away of what we talked about. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, there are no advantages of a reverse stock split. Obviously, we don't want to see this happen, but I want to talk about a few that they talked about in their proxy statement just to let you know what we have to look forward to. This is going to enable the company to attract big investors. So that's the number one. We've got to satisfy regulators and boost spinoff prices. So we are doing that spinoff, 12 to 24 months, but they got to get the price up. None of this is going to make it feel any less painful, but just remember, this stock price does not reflect the real price, and we will still recognize that real price. So what you have is still worth as much as it was before. It just consolidated. Now let's take a look at the charts. This is in the 30-minute. You can see that listed right up here, and I want to pay attention to the reverse stock split timing right here. This was the big drop. And then you see these red candles that do not show any buying in the 30-minute. And then all of a sudden they start to turn green. This is where I would place my first line to watch this reconfirm in the future, because it could go up here, meet some resistance, and you can see it's potentially finding resistance here at the 20 on the EMA. So I want to see if it's hitting the 20 EMA and then getting rejected to come back and go lower. So we want to make sure that we're not going to see these stair steps to go lower and lower, because the whole object is to not buy high and get in as low as you can. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting your buying right here within this zone. And matter of fact, you could even move this up and touch these points here, and you would still be in a very low zone if you bought at 235 and between 235 and or 234 and 213. So that would be considered buying low. at this point. You want to see that it's actually hit the bottom, it's getting tested, and then it's going to get rejected. So tomorrow, you want to see if this same thing happens. You see these consistent red candles in the 30-minute chart. Do not be in a rush to buy, but I would watch that timing. I would expect that if the Fed says that there's only going to be a 0.75 basis rate hike and not a full 100 basis points, that we're going to see some recovery after the Fed speaks. So that's what I expect to happen, but you can see that this is starting to run up above that range, and even in the 5-minute chart, you're going to see a much different picture, that it's starting to get up here, and then maybe it comes back to get rejected on even the 100-day moving average in the 5-minute chart. So you could go to the 4-hour chart just to see how low this is. Now we're reaching new lows right now. So if you thought this was low in the past, down here at 29 cents, that's where we were getting support. And then coming back up here, now we need to find a new level of support. And what we know from the previous blackout period is that we could test a new low that hasn't been established yet. Now, we don't have options available that I've seen, so I'm also watching for options to become open. So right now, I've got the buy zone here, and we want to watch for this to break below or retest this 234 to 213. I wouldn't buy any higher than that. That's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next video.